Hello everyone, with the Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Thursday evening, July 10, 2025. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you all like this video. I'd really appreciate it if you all get this video up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak month of Atlantic hurricane season, that's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Please ensure that you all utilize the progress bar that's located at the bottom of the video, as well as the timestamps that are located not only in the comment section but the video description, so that you can skip to the points in the video that you want to see the most in order to save time, because we know that the videos over here with the Jamaica can be very long. Leave a comment down below letting me know what did that be like in your area recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so we need to take a look at the Atlantic hurricane and tropical storm activity map based on data from 1944 to 2020. Considering that it is July 10, we're somewhere right in here, so activity should be on the rise, but doesn't seem like anything is happening right now. So we're definitely going to be having to wait for August, September into October to actually see some activity. Not that we actually want to see anything happening, but we need some tropical waves to bring us some rainfall to keep water in our pipes for sure. And we also need to have a look at this map. This is the tropical and subtropical cyclone points of origins and tracks based on data from 1851 to 2023, and this is showing where we've had all of these systems forming in the yellow dots from July 11 to July 20. So it's fitting that we're showing this now, considering that today is July 10. And as you can see, there are a lot of them across the Eastern Pacific, right here to the south of Mexico for sure, most of which pushed off towards the west. We didn't even see any one of them pushing into Mexico during this time period based on such tremendous time periods. Well, look at the Atlantic. We see numerous storm systems forming in the southwestern Atlantic, the Gulf, Western Caribbean, and we see a couple of them formulating out in the main development region, pushing westward into the Caribbean for sure. Some of them passing to the south of Jamaica, one here passing to the north. Very interesting. Let us see exactly what happens during the next 10 days, even although we're sure that nothing will take place. Even the typical tracks and origins map right here are showing that these are the very areas that we usually have a development over here in the main development region, the Eastern Caribbean pushing through into the Gulf and the Southwestern Atlantic for sure. And we need to highlight this map right here, the sea surface temperature anomalies. We need to have the update. So considering that today is July 10, we're looking at July 11. This is when it came out yesterday. And as you know, all of the very warm sea surface temperatures are represented by the yellows, the oranges, the reds, especially the reds. And look at the amount of reds that we see up in here in the latitude, the higher latitude. We're talking about near North and South Korea, Japan, all the way over to the north of Hawaii. And we see some of that right here off the east coast of the US. But down in here where we reside in the Caribbean, the main development region over here extending over to Africa, we see that there is some amount of warm sea surface temperatures in the yellows and the slight oranges, but nothing tremendous like what we're seeing up north. So it could be throwing off the weather in our area. Maybe there's a reason why we've been hotter and drier recently. This could definitely continue. Usually we like to see up in these latitudes cooler, so that we know that more of the moisture would be focused in our neck of the woods. It's going to be very interesting to see exactly what unfolds. Either way, the sea surface temperatures here across the Atlantic and the Caribbean are still plenty warm enough to sustain tropical development, and definitely see storms utilizing these warm waters, becoming tropical storms into hurricanes, whatever the case may be. And it's not only about how warm the waters are at the skin of the ocean, but it's very warm the deeper we go. This is the ocean heat content. All of these greens, yellows, oranges, and reds represent all of the deep warm water. So if we actually get a system to stall over this warm water, it's not only going to be getting blue on the surface, sea surface temperature anomaly right here, because it is sucking up the skin of the ocean, but regarding the ocean heat content, especially in and around the central to the western Caribbean near Jamaica, into the Cayman Islands right here, all the way over into western Cuba. These systems will definitely have a lot to work with, churning up even more warm water from the depths of the ocean. It's going to be very interesting to see how this map actually looks by the time we head into the peak of the hurricane season. Alright, so on another note, we need to highlight this post that was made here by Ben Knoll. He is actually a global weather writer, meteorologist for the Washington Post, and from time to time he makes some very accurate posts about the Atlantic hurricane season. And if you haven't been following him as yet, you need to fix that. He stated today at 10:15 a.m. a convective pulse is forecast to move across the Atlantic into Africa during late July and early August, potentially bringing the season's first chance for a hurricane. And this is what he's highlighting. I love it when he highlights this map. As we know, the oranges into the greens represent that sinking air. That's what the tropical waves don't like. That's what the areas of low pressure don't like, because sinking air, as you know, is basically dry, stable air, lots of wind shear, whatever the case may be, while the greens into the blues represents that rising air, making it easier for tropical waves to become tropical depressions, tropical storms, and hurricanes. And we're not saying that we want tropical storms or hurricanes, but we definitely want the rising air, we want the clouds, we want the rainfall to keep the temperatures cool. And he's highlighting that from July 11. So this is what's going to be taking place starting tomorrow. July 11, we see a lot of oranges into the greens, a lot of sinking air across the Eastern Pacific, the Caribbean, into the main development region. Let's continue. July 19, on the other hand, we're starting to see more rising air picking up, extending from the Western Pacific into the Central Pacific, into the Eastern Pacific, right here across Eastern South America, some of it into portions of the US and the Caribbean and the main development region. But not that robust as yet. But it is by the final week of July. Look at this, July 27. Now we start to see more of it focused across the Caribbean into the main development region and also Africa. We see Africa over here as well. So what does that mean? More tropical waves coming off of Africa, going into this rectangle right here, that's the main development region, pushing westward, and then more systems formulating. So we might just see more code yellows on the 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook from the hurricane center. All of these pushing westward, if not northward, hopefully northward, but more of the tropical is pushing westward to bring us rainfall for sure. So that's July 27. August 4, we start to see more sinking air coming back in. But we still have the rising air across Africa, so more tropicals can still push through and push westward. And I guess that is it. Let us see exactly what unfolds. I'll definitely be here to keep you posted with what occurs. Alright, so let us take a look at the US National Hurricane Center 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook that just came out at 7:31 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which is actually 6:31 p.m. Jamaica time. So this just came out about 21 minutes ago, 22 minutes ago, considering that it's 6:53 p.m. right now. And as you can see, tropical cyclone activity is not expected during the next 7 days. And this is the reason why we don't see much of anything across the Atlantic. Definitely dead over here in the main development region, apart from that very notable tropical wave exiting the coast of Africa. We see the usual thunderstorms across portions of southeastern United States, and the usual thunderstorms across sections of Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, even sections of Cuba, getting on their fair share of thunderstorms today for sure. I know that if something should form across the Atlantic, the next name on the list is Dexter. On the Eastern Pacific side of things, we see that tropical cyclone activity is not expected during the next 7 days either. Not much of anything here. Reloading it, still showing the update. Not much of anything over here at all. And this is the reason why. Just some patches of clouds, showers and thunderstorms. Nothing significant, nothing trying to organize at this time. And it's about time, because they've been getting in on a lot of the bad weather over here. Lots of systems formulating. So it's full time for them to get a break. And we know that if something should try to formulate, the next name on the list would be Gil. On the Joint Typhoon Warning Center map right here, they are actually seeing a code yellow and a code red. So we don't have a tropical storm or depression over there at this time, but something could try to formulate right here to the east of Taiwan. We see another system trying to formulate right here to the southeast of Japan. Very interesting. So something maybe trying to formulate right in here. We see Taiwan right here. Something trying to formulate somewhere down in here, more than likely around here, to the southeast of Japan right here. Let us see. We'll see if something actually formulates. We see the Climate Prediction Center's update earlier this week showing that if anything should formulate, it's definitely going to be across the Western Pacific. We'll see exactly what unfolds, and I'll definitely be here to keep you posted with what occurs. Looks like we're actually starting. Taking a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, we can see ridges of high pressure to the north that we know are responsible for sending all of the easterly trade winds across the main development region into the Caribbean. We can actually make out broken orange lines right here associated with a trough extending from the Bahamas down into Cuba and Jamaica. A tropical wave right here that's currently affecting portions of Haiti and the Dominican Republic that should be affecting Jamaica on Friday, and I'm glad that I'm going to be home tomorrow to experience some of that rainfall in my part of eastern Jamaica, in St. Thomas for sure. We see another tropical wave right here across the main development region, another tropical wave right here affecting portion of the Cabo Verde Islands. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before we lost sunlight, we can sort of make out most of these entities. The clouds associated with the trough currently affecting portion of the Bahamas, Cuba. The clouds associated with the tropical wave pushing through Hispaniola. We also see the clouds associated with the other tropical wave down in here. Another tropical wave is supposedly over here. And we can make out the low level flow of the clouds, especially all of these clouds right here, pushing through the main development region into the Caribbean, all courtesy of the ridges of high pressure to the north. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Thursday, July 10, 2025. It was stated that rainfall could have been in the forecast of parts of some central and western parishes on Thursday afternoon. And we know that central parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Middlesex, like St. Anne, St. Mary, Manchester, Clarendon, and St. Catherine. Western parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, like Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, Westmoreland, and St. Elizabeth. And what ended up happening? As early as 9:16 a.m., just to show you that these models aren't 100% correct, because the models were not in agreement in showing rainfall for the morning hours, but we definitely had some of that coming into especially northeastern Jamaica, section of St. Mary, Portland. We saw these clouds coming in because a post was made here on our Twitter page at around 9:16 a.m. And we know that these posts aren't only made here on our Twitter page with Jamaica, but they're also made on our Instagram page with the Jamaica, on our TikTok page with the Jamaica, and on our Facebook page with the Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there as we make posts throughout the day that you can't afford to miss. So at that time, we definitely saw the rain bands coming in. Definitely bring overcast skies, if not some isolated showers, section of St. Anne, St. Mary, section of Portland, St. Andrew, section of St. Thomas for sure. And all of this pushed from east to west all across the island. Definitely cloudy for the most part in the morning across section of most parishes. Then by 1:15 p.m., some of these clouds started building into cumulonimbus clouds, especially across western Jamaica, where we had some sparkling yellow dots, as we know, mean lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes. A lot of thunderstorms across sections of Westmoreland, northwestern St. Elizabeth, section of Hanover for sure at that time. And then we saw the thunderstorm clouds, the blues, the greens, the yellows, oranges, red. That represents that cumulonimbus cloud cover, not to mention the sparkling white dots that we know represents some amount of lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes, right here off the coast of northwestern St. Elizabeth, off the coast of Westmoreland for sure. That's where the afternoon thunderstorms, the brunt of it, was located. And the usual upper level wind shear blowing those cloud tops off towards the east, northeast, or to the northeast for sure, just as we predicted in yesterday's video. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Jamaica area before we lost sunlight, definitely seeing where most of the clouds were across central western parishes, upper level winds blowing those cloud tops off to the east, bringing more overcast skies in the afternoon to our area over in the central and eastern spots. And we even saw some rainfall coming in. Look at some of these rain bands coming in from the east, but most of which looks like they were dissipating by the time the sun was starting to go down. We can see the infrared right here showing the blow up of convection, the thunderstorms out west, and then all of that started to dissipate as we started to lose the sunlight. And if we take a look here at the live camera from C Jamaica's YouTube channel at around 1:54 p.m, we can definitely see people in their vehicles going about their business on the flat bridge and we see that it's definitely sunny at that time for sure. And we see the rear cover a bit murky, just to highlight that it's been raining upstream for sure the past 24 hours. These things happen. We know the rear cover is usually showing off a greenish color, so to see it murky, definitely concerning in that there's some rainfall upstream, and sometimes it's foreboding, sometimes it tells us that more rainfall could be coming. So let us see exactly what unfolds. I'll definitely be here to keep you posted with what occurs over the next week. And even the total accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours from the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website is confirming we did indeed get in on some rainfall today across sections of some eastern, central, and especially western parishes during the afternoon. And we definitely have some comments that came in here from some of our subscribers and some of our followers. We have Active 4081 stating cloudy in Clarendon with the Jamaica that was posted this morning. Gail Santa just had a little shower in St. Mary. We have Dwayne Knight stating finally get some shower in sections of Clarendon and Manchester. Even on our TikTok page we had some comments coming in. Phenomenal _ stating sunny in St. Elizabeth. Chevry _.jn stating who is that in the background? I wonder who she's talking about. We have Carito 34. The sky is dark in the east. Shelley and God's choosing. Cloudy in northern Clarendon. Alicia, Shemoy, my babies, sunny in Westmoreland. And Yvette stating cloudy. I wonder what parish that is. We also have on our Instagram page Marlon _1God_ stating a bit cloudy here in South Clarendon with the Jamaica. Ray 876 _Bostrick stating dry as chips in Runaway Bay. Thunder rumble, dark skies over the past few days, but nary a drop. Okay. We also have one Ryan that _ stating got little rain in Hanover. I'm sure you did. Every day, Ryan. I'm jealous at this point. We even have at least one comment here on our Facebook page from Randall Green stating good afternoon with the Jamaica. We don't have any rain in Brownstone. No, it's just a bit cloudy. Thanks for confirming. And we even have on our Twitter page October Girl stating overcast in Mobay 3 hours ago. And that confirms all of what took place today from some of our followers. Let us reload the very latest still image from the Weather Nerds website. Let us see what's happening right now. The latest still image is showing that the clouds that we saw dissipated for sure. There's some high level patches of white shades. 23:45 UTC, as we know, represents 6:45 p.m. So this just came out 5, 10, 15, 17 minutes ago. Pretty sure that another one is about to come out, but as you can see, nothing is really taking place across the island. Correct me if I'm wrong. Let us reload the very latest Cuban Doppler radar, the latest Guantanamo Bay US Navy radar, and the latest Cayman radar to confirm. Alright, so it seems like the latest Cuban Doppler radar imagery is showing. Is it going to be showing something up to date? Let's see. It's still in the process of reloading. Alright, there we go. So it looks like it might, okay, I think it glitched out and then it's trying to get its act together, but I'm not sure because, well, it really glitched out for real because it's showing that the latest, first of all it was showing the morning, then started to show 7:02 p.m. which is actually 6:02 p.m. Jamaica time. And we saw the moisture this morning coming into northeastern Jamaica. We saw the greens, we saw the yellows, moderate to heavy rainfall, moderado, fuerte. And then 7:02 p.m., not much of anything across the island. That was 6:02 p.m. actually. And we also saw some rain bands right here to the west of the western peninsula of Haiti. We can see that rainfall right here on the Cayman, on the Guantanamo Bay US Navy radar. Right here we can see the rain bands exiting the western coast of Haiti, pushing towards Jamaica. We also see some rainfall across the northwestern portion of southeastern Cuba. Let us see what's taking place on the Cayman radar. We also see some rainfall across sections of central Cuba. We see the greens, yellows, oranges. We see the blues, light rainfall. Don't see much of anything across western Jamaica though, and we don't see much of anything across the Cayman Islands at this time. However, the live camera here from Sea Jamaica's YouTube channel showing downtown Kingston. We can see people in their vehicles going about their business. Nothing in the way of bad weather taking place for sure, as you can see here. And I would like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to see more live streams like this, just visit Sea Jamaica on YouTube. They have these live streams all for free for you to view. So subscribe today so that you don't miss out. Taking a look at the temperatures right now, we can see that we're 26 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 28 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and by about 4 a.m. on Friday, temperature should dip down to about 25 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 24 degrees Celsius in Kingston. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow. This map from the GFS is valid for 18Z on Friday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Friday, and we can see Jamaica right here embedded in some grays and some slight yellows. That represents what we see here on the Q on the right. That's the average to at least 1 degree Celsius above average temperatures. And we know the average temperature for the month of July across Jamaica is around 91 degrees Fahrenheit. When that's converted to degrees Celsius that we use here in Jamaica, that is around 32.8 degrees Celsius actually. And given that we're going to be receiving a 1 degree Celsius above normal temperature rise, it should be anywhere from 32.8 to 33.8 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperature on Friday. And unfortunately, we have a few maintenance outage advisories here from my GPS Online Twitter page that we have to highlight. I know that we have to highlight these because we know that when we have power outages somewhere across the island, it can definitely make the heat feel even worse because we don't have our fan or AC to cool us down. So if you live or work in these areas, or if you have friends or relatives who live or work in these areas, please let them know that a power outage is coming their way on Friday, July 11, 2025. We're referring to new Cottage Roads, or Cottage New Roads in St. Elizabeth from 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Also Spot Valley in St. James from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Section of Lititz in the vicinity of Primary School in St. Elizabeth from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And we have some tips right here to beat the heat as usual. It states here, dress down, wear lightweight clothing and use sunscreen. It's Friday, definitely dress down. Check on others, including children, elderly people with medical conditions and pets. Be cool, stay indoors and make use of fans and air conditioners. Avoid alcohol and caffeine as they can make dehydration worse. Limit non-essential strenuous activity during the hottest parts of the day. And I cannot stress enough the importance of staying hydrated throughout the day. Drink lots of water even if you're not thirsty, and put away those sugar drinks and drink water instead. The dry air map, as we know, is represented, the dry air on the dry air map, as we know, is represented by all of this, the yellows, the oranges, the reds, and what's within those reds. And we can still see the most dry air extending from Africa across the main development region into the Caribbean. Dry air, as we know, is responsible for keeping the atmosphere stable, making it harder for it to rain. But what we like to see is the blues that we see across the southwestern Atlantic, into the Gulf, into the western Caribbean, into the eastern Pacific, into the intertropical convergence zone of the Atlantic. That's what we like. We like the moist air, that we get more clouds to bring us more rainfall, so that we can keep water in our pipes. But regarding the Saharan dust forecast, we can see that the Saharan dust is definitely making a comeback. Some of it coming in tomorrow on July 11, then on July 12, that into the 13th. That's where the brunt of it should be coming in for sure. Well, July 11 into 12, we're starting to get into the effects, but apparently it's July 13 that the brunt of it, as you can see here, should be coming in these slight oranges, but it's nothing like a vigorous plume. The vigorous plume, as we know, would be represented by the crazy pinky shades, but we don't see that. The more west it pushes, the more it dwindles, and that's what we like. But we're definitely going to be noticing the Saharan dust on July 13. That's what, Sunday, if I'm not mistaken, to 11 is Friday, 12 is Saturday, so 13 is Sunday. So on Sunday, definitely some Saharan dust would be in the air. Definitely worthy of triggering some amount of respiratory illnesses in some persons. So make sure that you have your meds handy for sure. Regarding the wave forecast for tomorrow, still seeing that the highest waves are to the south of Jamaica, the dark blues into the purples. That represents the 2 to 2.5 meter wave height, and that's because of the strong easterly winds in the greens and the light yellows. That's the 20 to 25 knot winds for sure. But regarding Jamaica's wave forecast, still seeing that the highest waves are right here to the southeast of Jamaica, up to 1.8 meter wave heights, right here to the south of St. Thomas, 1.3 to the north of Portland, 1.1 to the north of St. Anne, 0.9 of a meter wave height to the south of Clarendon. We also have 0.7 of a meter wave height to the north of Hanover, and to the south of Westmoreland, 0.7 of a meter wave height. And that's because of the winds that are expected. We see more of an easterly flow. We see the greens, we see the slight yellows, so anywhere from 15 all the way up to 20 knots, maybe 16 knots right to the south of St. Thomas, 20 knots to the south of Manchester, to the north of St. Anne, 15 knots. And we also see where the air is supposed to be piling up across sections of some central and western parishes. Wherever we have the least amount of wind, that's where we could have those clouds building. Then we have that daytime heating bring us some afternoon rainfall. And given that there's a tropical wave over Hispaniola as we speak, wouldn't be surprised if we get a lot of moisture pushing in from the east into portions of St. Thomas and Portland, and then some of this could even spill into central and western parishes once again. So yes, look out for that rainfall on Friday. And the rainfall should be even more exacerbated by the upper level wind shear tomorrow. Look at this. Upper level wind shear should be coming out of the northwest. That's what I like to see, because I know that when I see this, it definitely favors more of that rainfall, if not cloud cover, across the southern parishes for sure, my area especially. So I'm definitely looking forward to tomorrow's rainfall in St. Thomas. And regarding the actual rainfall forecast maps now, this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both valid for 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 7 a.m. Jamaica time. And what do both maps show? Some blues represent rainfall across sections of St. Thomas and Portland on both maps. Very interesting. Then, as the morning progresses, even all the way up to midday, well, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's actually 11 a.m. Jamaica time. Look at the continuous blues represent rainfall across the east. The Euro trying to incorporate central and western parishes within that, and I wouldn't even be surprised if the Euro is right, because what is pushing from the east is pushing to the west, and the GFS has most of it still sitting on the eastern end of the island. But I wouldn't be surprised if it has, actually been pushing westward into central Jamaica, maybe second of St. Catherine, Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Catherine, maybe Clarendon, St. Anne getting in some of the action too. But clearly at this time, they're still adamant, the models, about St. Thomas and Portland getting in on the brunt of tomorrow's rainfall. And then by around 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, it's actually 2 p.m. Jamaica time, what do both maps show? Still showing rainfall across the east, but it's starting to incorporate central and western Jamaica on both maps now. So we see the blues represent rainfall across northeastern Clarendon, northern St. Catherine, northern St. Andrew, section of St. Mary, southeastern St. Anne, Trelawney, St. James, Hanover, Westmoreland. Not saying that we can't get some rainfall into Manchester, maybe Clarendon, St. Anne, well, St. Elizabeth and western St. Anne, but it's just a waiting game. Fingers crossed that we actually get the rainfall across most areas because of the tropical wave. And if we take a look at the total accumulated precipitation forecast maps here, the Euro and the GFS are adamant that there's going to be rainfall somewhere in Jamaica within the next 24 hours. The Euro going all the way up to 0.4 of an inch of rainfall out in the northwest. GFS something similar out in the west, and we also see that there's definitely some rainfall expected out east. And whatever happens, we'll definitely take it, because we're in the month of July, and in Kingston, whose bar graph is being shown right here at the top, we usually receive around 50 millimeters of rainfall for the month of July. In Montego Bay, whose bar graph is being shown right here at the bottom, we usually receive around 3.2 inches of rainfall for the month of July. And I would like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to find out what your specific parish usually receives in terms of rainfall for the month of July or for the entire year, you can visit weatherandclimate.com, and that website to show you that information. And you can use this nice graphic right here that converts rainfall from inches to millimeters. We know that 1 inch of rainfall is about the same as 25 millimeters of rainfall. Alright, so we're going to be looking at what the next 7 days have in store for us according to the latest Euro and GFS supercomputer model runs that came out today. So keep your eyes focused on the timestamp right here at the top as we go to the next one, just 68 hours. Keep your eyes focused on Jamaica right here as we look for all of this that we see on the key on the right. That's the reds, the oranges, the yellows, and the greens that represent the inches of rainfall. So let's see what's going to be taking place. Alright, so we just looked at Friday's forecast. Now we're looking at Saturday. 12Z is actually 7 a.m. As you can see, there's some moisture right here to the south of Jamaica, some of it into eastern parishes. Then on Saturday afternoon, it looks like central and western parishes getting on that rainfall. To see if we have the agreement on the GFS. Saturday morning, rainfall to the south of us, some of it in eastern Jamaica. Saturday afternoon, rainfall out west. Interesting. Something similar to what the Euro was showing. Sunday morning, what do we see? Maybe some isolated showers out east. Sunday afternoon, maybe some isolated showers across the southwest. What does Monday morning show? Not really much. Monday afternoon, maybe some rainfall across the eastern and the western ends. What does Sunday and Monday show? Sunday, nothing. Monday, well, Sunday afternoon, central and western parishes. Monday morning, nothing. Monday afternoon, central and western parishes. Interesting. That's what Tuesday morning shows. Tuesday morning, maybe some isolated showers out east on the Euro. Tuesday afternoon, maybe some isolated showers across eastern, central, and western parishes. That's what the GFS shows. Tuesday morning, maybe some isolated showers out east. Tuesday afternoon, eastern, central, and western parishes with that rainfall once again. What does Wednesday morning show? On Wednesday morning, maybe some isolated showers out east. Wednesday afternoon, maybe some isolated showers across central and western parishes. And we're going to be stopping it right here at the end of the 168 hours. So this is valid for Thursday, July 17. We see some rainfall across the far eastern end. To see what the GFS shows. Wednesday morning, rainfall in the east. Wednesday afternoon, maybe some rainfall out west. Thursday morning, maybe some rainfall out east. Very interesting, something similar to what the Euro was showing. And we also see some moisture of the east coast of the US down into the northeastern Gulf. There's been a lot of talk about something maybe formulating over here in the northeastern Gulf at the end of the next 7 days. We'll see if that actually takes place. Is that going to be Dexter? Is Dexter the next name? Yeah, Dexter is the next name. Is that going to, acquire the next name Dexter on the list? For sure. Only time will tell. And we also see an increase in the amount of moisture coming in from the main development region into the Caribbean. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly what unfolds. But over the next 7 days, the total accumulated precipitation forecast maps are adamant that the most rainfall should be over the major land masses like Florida, sections of Cuba, the Central America into Northern South America. As usual, nothing new. 2 all the way up to 5 inches of rainfall expected in some isolated spots, maybe some isolated flash flooding taking place, while areas that are shaded in the greens, yellows, oranges, and reds, up to 1 inch or less of rainfall for the Bahamas, the Greater Antilles, and the Lesser Antilles. But regarding Jamaica, total accumulated precipitation forecast maps, not much has changed. The most rainfall over the next 7 days should be across the far eastern end, across maybe St. Thomas and Portland on the Euro, but the GFS still showing that the most rainfall over the next 7 days should be out the west. Euro has up to 45 millimeters of rainfall in the east. GFS has up to 55 millimeters of rainfall out west. It's going to be interesting to see exactly what unfolds, but we do see that we have some contrast on both maps. Whatever happens, I'll definitely be sure to keep you posted. Alright, so as stated, we have a string of moisture extending from the main development region into the Windward Islands as we speak. We see the usual thunderstorm activity across portion of Northern South America into Central America, the usual thunderstorm activity across Hispaniola, Cuba, Jamaica. And if we take a look at the Doppler radar imagery over here near Puerto Rico, let's see. Not much of anything taking place across Puerto Rico or the Leeward Islands right now, but loading these images from earlier today, we definitely saw some rainfall across the Kingdom of the Dominican Republic associated with that tropical wave. We also see that moisture pushing through the Barbados area, so to St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago definitely getting all that moderate to heavy rainfall. The weather wave Doppler radar images confirming that rainfall into Florida, the Northern Bahamas, Cuba, the Yucatan Peninsula, Northern Guatemala, Belize, Honduras, section of Venezuela getting on some of the action. And regarding where the brunt of the rainfall is expected within the next 24 hours, we can clearly see that both maps right here from the Euro and the GFS are showing that the most rainfall should be across Northern South America. So we're talking about Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia, Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, French Guiana. We also see that rainfall into section of Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, Belize. Some rainfall in store for Florida, Cuba, the Bahamas, Cayman Islands, Jamaica, Haiti, Dominican Republic. We also see some rainfall anywhere from St. Lucia southward. We're talking about St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, Guyana, Suriname, French Guiana, if I already didn't say that as yet. And we can clearly see some of this activity extending into the ABC Islands. And we know that when both maps from the Euro and the GFS are adamant like this, the chances are higher for it to actually take place. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.